Hey everyone. This is actually a two-part podcast of the TFON Podcast, season 4, episode 4. Um, I talked to Christopher Carter of the Pittsburgh Post Gazette earlier, and then now we're going to talk to my guy, my main man, Neil Meyer, and then get some Bearcats perspective, as well as talk about last week, and then just talk about what the Bearcats have to do to pull off a big road win or to pull off the upset per se. 'Cause they are the underdogs going to Pittsburgh on Saturday. So, Neil, man, how you doing today?
Good, man. How are you?
Not too bad, man. Busy day. Busy Tuesday, man. How you feeling over there?
Man, it's been a busy day, as we mentioned. We had press conferences early this afternoon. We had a little bit of practice action. A lot of good stuff, a lot of good quality content heading into Pitt week.
For sure, man. For sure. And it's a big game, but we won't get into that yet. We'll start off with the EKU win, man. Like it was an impressive win, 66-13. I know it's EKU, so everybody's like, hey, chill. But what impressed you the most about Saturday's game at Nippert?
I think the biggest thing that stood out to me was the play of Emory Jones. I know a lot of people were really going to question heading into this season, hey, was Emory going to be that guy who is the quarterback at Florida in 2020? Was he going to return to that 2020 Emory Jones? And I mean, after how he played Saturday, I mean, 19 for 23, 345 yards and 5 touchdowns through the air, and then 9 carries, 26 yards, and 2 more touchdowns on the ground, setting a program record for 7 touchdowns in a game. I mean, that's impressive. I mean, we've talked to Xavier Henderson. I was the one who actually asked the question about what was cooking on offense, and Xavier responded that Emory was like the lunch lady serving everybody today. So overall, I thought the play of Emory Jones is what really stood out to me. I think everyone kind of knew what to expect on the defensive end for the Bearcats, and that's something that everyone's eyes have been on all offseason. But Emory Jones in the offense is really what was clicking. I mean, you bring in a wide receiver room that only has one guy returning from a season ago, and 4 wide receivers that were brought in via transfer portal all found the end zone on Saturday as well. I know we talked about it. It was EKU, but overall, it just seemed like the offense was really clicking there.
For sure. And that's something we hinted on like early in the podcast. Especially this year or this fall. Well, it's still summer per se, but if people check back, that's when fall ball per se started. That was something that we kind of hinted on. Like the receivers are a lot better than we expected, and I think they would flash per se. And I think even though it's EKU, so you got to pump the brakes, but you see the potential for a very, very, very solid wide receiver room. Where in the spring it just wasn't that. I mean, there was a few people that still going to be contributing members, but at the same time, when you only got one scholarship person there from the season ago, it's a lot thinner. So um, I thought that was pretty cool just to see them click and them just look like they've been together more than just a few months too. That was kind of like the big thing for me. So uh the atmosphere, man, like you being there, boots on the ground, like how was it? I know you've covered a lot of games as well. So like how was it on Saturday, especially against EKU going to the Big 12? Did it feel a little bit more special just being there?
Yeah, absolutely. The atmosphere was amazing. Obviously, with everything surrounding the University of Cincinnati right now, with the move to the Big 12, the new apparel deal, a new coaching staff, a lot of positive things heading into this season. And then all of a sudden, you're down there when the team runs out onto the field before the game Saturday, and there were some of the guys like peeking around the tunnel there and just taking the moment to really embrace the crowd. I mean, you come. Emory even said he came out, he peeked out of the tunnel there, and all he saw was the whiteout. And he even said it was the first time in a long while where he got a little bit nervous heading out to the field. And I mean, you're just sitting there thinking, you're like, yeah, you're walking out. And I mean, everyone who knows the student section at Nippert Stadium knows it's like right on top of you. And that was a lot of things the coaching staff and a lot of things the players had to say after the game was they really felt the energy from the crowd. I mean, they were right on top of you. The atmosphere was great. 11th largest crowd in program history if I remember right, 39,000, almost close to 40,000 roughly. So that's a huge crowd. Obviously, it was EKU. Just imagine what it is in 2 weeks versus Oklahoma.
Yeah,
So that would be a huge crowd. But the atmosphere was great, man. It was great. A lot of positive things. I mean, I think really once that first touchdown over the top to Xavier Henderson happened, I think all 33 new faces got a familiarity of what Nippert Stadium is like on game day heading into the Big 12 season.
for sure. 100%, man. 100%. So now that the EKU game is over, Emory Jones, we give him some props. If you've been watching the site, listen to the site, or not listen to the site, checking the site out, you know that he was the Big 12 Offensive Player of the Week, Big 12 Newcomer of the Week for his performance last week. And then my man Neil, he was able to talk to our D'Artagnan Tinsley today, so that's up on the site. So that's one that it's a 101 with my man Neil and the offensive alignment for the Bearcats. So check that out. Make sure you guys subscribe to the YouTube page. Finally over 400. We have 404, I think now. So we creeping on the come up, coming close to that 1,000, slowly but surely. But just keep helping us out, Bearcat Nation. We appreciate you guys. But now, man, we return the page. They are going to go on the road against Pitt on Saturday on the CW. For people that are watching the game in Cincinnati, if you do not have cable, even if you do, you can. I want to say on antenna. I know for sure it is 12.2, and that's for people that don't have cable. I'm not 100% which channel it is if you do have, because there's so many different companies that you may use. But I know if you just unplug and have an antenna and plug it in, 12, it's technically CBS 2.2 essentially. So it's 12.2. So make sure you guys check that out. And be supportive if you can't make it. Shout out to my man Neil. He will be at Akershire, I think I'm saying Akershire, saying it wrong. It's Old Hines, and my man Chris told me how to say it too. And I'm messing. I think it's Akershire Stadium. He'll be live there along with Brandon Wesson, who will be from Westography. He will be shooting the game as well. I'll ask you this question just in general, but just like how excited are you to be able to cover a quality game like this for their first Big 12 season?
Yeah, I'm super excited. I know we've had the experiences of going on the road in recent years. I know last year we did Arkansas week 1, then we did UCF later in the season, and then we've gone on the road quite a few times throughout the few seasons we've covered together. But I think this is one that you're most excited for just because of the history between the programs. I mean, obviously, it's the River City rivalry. Obviously, the trophy has its dilemmas. I know a lot of Pitt people were asking about, hey, is the trophy coming back? We don't got an answer.
Yeah.
But overall, I mean, it's a rivalry that's got so much history for it. I mean, you look back, the last time these two teams played, it was Pike to Benz. And what else can you really describe when you hear Pike to Benz? I mean, it's a memory that it sticks with you. If you're a Bearcat fan, no matter where you go, I mean, it's not every day where you're on the road at their house, come back late in the game, and Tony Pike throws a dot to Armand Benz with 40 seconds left to win the game, or it might have even been less than 40 seconds. But you throw a dot to win the game on the road, that's a huge momentum changer. So that's the first thing that comes to mind when people think, hey, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati is that final play, obviously, but the excitement around this game is huge. I mean, Pitt's sitting right outside the top 25. They're receiving votes. Yeah. They're sitting, I believe it was 30 or 31st.
Yeah, 31st,
in the poll that came out today. They received 8 first-place votes. But overall, I mean, this is a Pitt team that loves to get after the quarterback. They finished second in the nation in sacks last season, right behind Coach Satterfield in Louisville. I mean, this is a Pitt team who loves to get after it, loves to be aggressive, and it's going to be a test. Everyone knows that. Pitt comes in favorited as 7-point favorites early on. But I was telling people earlier today, I think it's going to be a lot closer of a game than people expect. And it really just comes down to the play of Emory Jones and the Bearcats offense. I know it's not EKU, like we talked about, Pittsburgh is returning a very experienced defensive secondary. I know Coach Sat mentioned it. They were charting in his press conference. The quote was, "We were charting guys, and 3 to 4 guys have played 2,000 plus snaps." I mean, you're thinking about that. If you can play 2,000 plus snaps in a college career, that's incredible, especially in
Yep.
today's world due to injuries, transfer portal, all that fun stuff. But 2,000 plus snaps on the defensive aspect is huge. And Pittsburgh has 2 or 3 of those guys alone in the secondary. So overall, they're returning a very experienced team. Yeah, they did lose Defensive Player of the Year in Khalid Kancey, who was a first-round draft pick this offseason or this past spring. But overall, Pitt's still going to be Pitt. They're still going to be aggressive. They're still going to come out firing. They're still going to find ways to make you uncomfortable. So it's going to be a fun test this Saturday.
Oh, for sure, man. For sure. So you already hit like on the key. Like, I think Emory Jones is definitely going to be key. How the offensive line's communication is in that environment is going to be key, I think, honestly. I feel like the defense is going to do their thing. Pitt's talented, so they'll get some plays. It's not going to be EKU where they just dominate them and, hold them to points and where it's the third and fourth string is playing. But I feel like it's all about the offensive line, communication, and just holding their own. They don't have to be great, but I just think they have to allow Emory to be able to hit some big plays occasionally, and then Emory play on time. So like where those corners are super aggressive. So you don't want it to where they're jumping routes or whatever, or make them pay for jumping the route. So I think like Emory doesn't turn the ball over a lot, so that's a good thing. But it's just something that can't pop up. I think the turnover battle will be huge on Saturday because the Bearcats, they play clean. I thought they played very clean against EKU. They can't have
silly penalties or
silly penalties, like which the Bearcats are used to having, like in general, it's a different coaching staff. So I think the first game, I feel like what impressed me the most, I feel like the team was real clean. I think they only had 5 penalties.
I think it was only 5 penalties. Yeah.
Yeah, 5 penalties. And when's the last time, and no disrespect to the old staff, when's the last time that you've seen the Bearcats have made it through a game with only 5 penalties?
A while. It's been a while.
Just 5 penalties. I haven't looked at that. I'm pretty sure. I mean, the Bearcats were one of the most penalized teams in college football, the last few years. So for them to play clean, not give silly penalties, is going to be key. So especially on the road. I mean, and then it'll be a good precursor for the Big 12, just because I think the ACC is a little bit better than people expect, even myself, as of watching those teams. A lot of those teams play this weekend and the last weekend as well. So they got to play clean. I think that's the key thing. And the offensive line has to be stable. And I feel like they were very, very good against EKU. So I don't want to downplay how bad. I mean, downplay their quality that they did against EKU. It's just that EKU isn't Pitt. So that's the thing. So they have to just take the next step. And I feel like Satterfield is going to get them. Satterfield and Cruz are going to get them right. And then we'll see what happens, man. Because I think they're going to have to score points, and they're going to have to get some big plays. Because if they don't, the defense will just start restricting the area of the team. So it could get ugly on that end. But I think the Bearcats have enough pieces in place where they can make some of those plays and keep the defense honest, because it's feast or famine defense. So it's, they put people on the island. You got to win your one-on-ones. And if you win more than you lose and you have a chance, the quarterback makes more plays than he doesn't, they have a good chance. So that's where I'm looking at right now. That's the thing. Emory and the line are going to be key to me. I think everything else would be work itself out. And especially with Satterfield, the thing that makes me feel good, and I'll pass it to you, Neil, is that Satterfield has seen Pitt. Even though it's not been at UC, he's seen them the last few years. So I think he'll have the right game plan and be able to put the players in the right spot to be successful. And then how do you feel about that as well?
Yeah, I think that's huge. I know Coach Satterfield has seen Pitt quite a few times during his time in the ACC, but I know the last 2 matchups versus Pitt while he was at Louisville were close games. I know he mentioned the 23-20 loss earlier this afternoon when we talked about him. But I think for the Bearcats, one matchup I'm going to be honed in on myself while we're covering this game is, how does Pitt play a guy like Dante Corleone. We heard Pat Narduzzi's comments that Dante Corleone is the main guy up front, and he causes a lot of havoc. But I'll be curious to see if Pat Narduzzi tries to send a double at him and a guy like Juwan Briggs, and if that leaves a guy like Daniel Grishik one-on-one on the outside, that's huge. And we talked to DG after the game on Saturday, and he loves it when he's one-on-one. He felt like it was one-on-one all day Saturday, and he was like, man, I didn't really get touched out there. Like, that's what led to him having 7.5 tackles and 2 tackles for loss, a sack, and a forced fumble. So, I mean, if Pitt really comes out and tries to double a guy like Juwan Briggs and Dante Corleone, we obviously all know Dante's an All-American. Juwan's a freak of nature up front. Obviously, he's playing some of the best ball of his career. But if they try to send that double there, it's going to be curious to see what the Bearcats can do off the edge, whether it's a guy like Daniel Grishik or some of the other guys. Eric Phillips can feast over there as well. So it's going to be curious to see what they can do on that edge there if Pitt really decides to send 2 on the offensive line there for to kind of chip those blocks and slow guys like Dante and Juwan down. But overall, I mean, you mentioned it. Emory's going to have to play a smart, clean game. The wide receivers are going to have to win their battles. Obviously, it's going to be a lot of 50-50 balls more than likely. Pitt does like to play a lot of man-to-man. They'll get right in your face. They're physical. They're a physical team. They love to play man coverage, and if you can beat your guy in man coverage, I mean, they've been playing man coverage for the last 4 or 5 years, it feels like. But if you can beat your man and a guy like Xavier Worthy, D. Wiggins, Donovan Ollie, Chris Scott, somebody, if you can beat your guys one-on-one, Braden Smith out the slot there, if you can beat your man one-on-one, you're golden. You're golden because man coverage, all it takes is that one move and you're home free. So if you can really find a way to get open, make the smart reads, I think Emory's going to have to find a way to make the smart throws. If you feel the pocket collapsing, just make the smart throw, make the check down or take off with it and just get out of bounds. Don't try to do too much with it. I think if he tries to do too much, it might be a little bit of stress for the Bearcats fans. But overall, I think this game's going to be a lot closer than people think. Obviously, we've talked about the 7.5 point spread, 7.5 point spread. I have it coming down to a field goal, in my opinion.
Field goal. But I think it's going to be a close game, though. I think like that's what the EKU game gave me. It gave me hope, like as a fan. You know what I mean? Like take away the media part of it. I'm like, okay, these dudes are going to go on the road and have a chance. It's not just going to be the defense. The offense is going to come and play too. It just depends on if it's going to be enough. I think it can be, but like I said, like this is a game that I had personally had it marked as a L when I first saw the schedule. But I don't feel like now I think it's a coin flip game. I don't think it's a 7 or 7.5 or 8 point game that they depending on what sportsbook you go through right now. I don't think it's that type of game. I think it's really a coin flip where Pitt has the advantage because they're at home. So I might think it's like a 2.5 point type game personally. I just think the Bearcats have enough firepower to battle with these guys. And I know Pitt has some talent as well. So it's going to be interesting to see, how the corners hold up against their wide receiver. They got a lot of speed, solid line. So, it's just going to be interesting overall just to see what's going to happen. But I think it's going to be a good game, man. I think this is a very, very, very good test for the Bearcats. And we'll find out on Saturday, late Saturday evening, if they pass or fail. But even if they lose, I think long as if it's a close game and they handle, if they hold it down in just a couple plays here and there, hold some back, I think it'll be a win. I mean, nobody likes what's the damn thing where it's like a moral victory. Nobody likes a moral victory. But with a new coach, I think going on the road first time against a legit opponent, if they can keep it close, I think it's a win in general. And I honestly think this is a game that they can win. Like it's not out of the realm. Like I wouldn't be shocked if they won. You know what I mean? Like it's not gonna be, oh my God, I can't believe they pulled it off. Unless they have one of those games where they were like down 21-0 or something and they come back. But I think this would be a back and forth game, and then it'll just be about who's playing the cleanest. And I feel like the Bearcats have laid down groundwork, which we are not used to with playing clean. So if they can play clean like they did against EKU, it's not going to be as clean because it's not EKU this week. But I feel like they had those same principles. Can't have a crazy fumble, bad interception, missed protections. If they can do that, play clean on that end, I think win the turnover battle. Again, I think that'll be something that they can pull off the upset per se, or the I wouldn't call it an upset because the game it's not like they're a 20-point underdog or nothing like that, but pull off the victory, get the victory. So that's where I'll end it at. And Neil, man, do you want to add anything else before we let everybody go?
Yeah, man, just continue to check out the front office news. You can see all of our stuff on our YouTube channel. You can follow myself, follow JT, and just continue to check us out, man. We appreciate all the support you guys have, and as always, we really appreciate all the support, and just come rock with us. Come check us out a little bit more.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Make sure y'all guys subscribe to the YouTube channel. Check out the website. We're doing what we can to consistently bring out good content. Hopefully you guys are enjoying it. Me, Neil. Shout out to my man Alex Frank, Caleb Brewer, and then the master photographer, Brandon Wesson. He's behind all the pictures. He's been killing it for a long time. So want to give everybody some love. Make sure you guys wherever you listen to the pods, make sure you guys give us a 5-star or whatever you want. Even if you want to give us a 1-star, give us something. And subscribe to it if it's on iTunes or Spotify or wherever else you listen to your pods. But that's it, man. That's how we're gonna end this pod, and then we'll check in with my man Neil a little bit next. Matter of fact, he'll probably have a vlog. Have you guys? I'm talking to the audience, but hopefully you guys been checking out his vlogs. He does after the game. I haven't been able to do one with him yet, but hopefully against Miami we'll be able to do one together. But he'll do one after Pitt, so make sure you guys check that out. I think I might go live after Pitt maybe for a little bit, and just kind of make it not really a pod, just where we kind of talk Bearcats thoughts after the game, and then we'll do that. My man Neil will be on the boots on the ground getting post game for everybody, and then I'll maybe go live for maybe about 10 or 15 minutes, and we'll just talk about how you feel about the game, good or bad, and we can kind of vent and get ready for the next week. So I'm JT Smith and my man Neil Meyer. We're going to sign out. Just make sure you guys check out the front office news, like and subscribe to the TFON podcast. Thank you.